Arrow. Now, I think the show's interesting considered in the greater scheme of comic book shows or Green Arrow representation. I was basically revisiting Arrowverse shows because I found it to be the perfect level of mid to play in the background while I did some animating stuff. For me at the moment, I think Arrow's the most watchable. In a sense, I'm not frustrated by inconsistent speedster rules that I get with Flash or time travel rules that I get with Legends of Tomorrow. Now, I just got worried about frustrating social dynamics, which, is relatable in our normal lives anyway. Now, something frustrating with Arrow is it's generally not really Green Arrow. It's basically like Diet Batman, which I consider to be true, but also a bit of a simplification. You see, Green Arrow is a character that's a lot like Batman, and that's always been the case. And in the case of the show, they do have various distinguishers from Batman. Pretty big example. While Batman has no parents, earlier on in the show at least, he at least has a mom who's alive, which I think is a pretty clever way to make him a softer Batman. Like, he's a rich billionaire, but he also has a parental guardian who ends up overlooking him, and even has some dark secrets of her own. I like a lot of what they do with Moira Queen, and escapes traps a lot of other female characters fall into in this show. They also set up this whole nightclub storyline with Oliver, where he wants to manage his own nightclub, which feels fitting for a softer billionaire to Bruce. These things don't really even feel like Ollie either, just the show's way of having a softer Batman. The one way I feel like this show really feels like a Diet Batman is its tone. The show overall has a darker vibe than what I'd imagine for Green Arrow, and he doesn't seem to develop any sort of jokey persona. I don't imagine him constantly quipping. I don't see him being like Spider-Man, but little something. One of the biggest misunderstandings from the show is the island origin story, which the show has lost like flashbacks throughout the show, having this whole other story of stuff to tell of Oliver on the island. This is already a pretty different origin from Batman, where while losing his parents was out of his control, the training to become Batman was all his choice. With Oliver, the tragedy of losing his parents to the yacht is immediately followed up by the environment that trained him to be Green Arrow. Here's the thing about this origin. Oliver was on an island. He was on the island, bored and alone, with nothing to do but be good at archery.
All I had to do was find some shade and wait.
So having a congruent storyline worth of story, where he went on all these adventures, kind of defeats the purpose of that. Like, he was never alone on an island. He always had random jerks to run into, which filled his island time with adventure. I mean, yeah, he could have the occasional island adventure, but it should be far from the status quo. The phrase, "I was stranded on an island for several years," evokes the idea of being alone on the island, He tells jokes because he was used to being bored. He does archery because, I assume he didn't have much of a skill set. Archery was a hobby he happened to be good at.
Those first couple of days were hard. Then I got an idea.
But anyway, it is what it is in the show. It's also worth noting that at one point, the show basically takes a storyline from Batman. Like, it's one thing with a one-off episode like the Firefly one, but season 3 is basically the Ra's al Ghul story. That is a really big storyline, which ties a lot with Batman, and they just gave it to Green Arrow. It's kind of wild they had League of Assassins to basically explain why certain people are good fighters. Why is Malcolm Merlyn a good fighter? He trained with assassins. Why is Sarah Lance a good fighter? Trained with assassins. I guess they might as well give him a storyline with how many convenient fighters they've made. When I first saw the Arrow show, I made it up to roughly halfway to season 3, literally stopping because I saw Daredevil and decided to stop watching Arrow and Flash. On my recent revisit, I watched season 1 up to episode 12, which is the Count Vertigo episode where they did my boy, Count Vertigo, so dirty. I would have left with a much more negative impression of Arrow show, though episode 5 of season 1 is pretty epic. But then I decided to rewatch season 2, where that season I actually did revisit the whole season. Had a lot of fun story momentum. While I had my criticisms with Island stuff, it was kind of wild how much Island tied from modern day. And I like Arrow's story of trying not to be a killer. A lot of good stuff. I like when Harley called Diggle chocolate pudding.
Come on, chocolate pudding, let me out. I want to play. I want to play.
And it was a deleted scene, by the way. It's wild how bad some of the personal drama is. Like in season 1, we have Thea and Laurel. both being mean to Ollie after he came back. Like, dude, bro spent 5 years on a bad island. Couldn't y'all cut him more slack? Honestly, in that context, Felicity almost comes in like a ray of sunshine, being just a normal, cute, bubbly girl in season 1. Of course, I know as the show goes on, Felicity has her fair share of annoying moments and some of the others mellow down. Anyway, to comment on one more thing, Olicity. You know what, to be honest, and I put some consideration to this, I actually think I might like Olicity. Like, in the context of a show, and I might be okay working other versions of Green Arrow. I like the tingles in season 2, and I actually watched a 2-hour Olicity compilation after finishing the season. Weird piano music, but I get the vibes. In the context of season 2 before it really becomes a thing, what I like about a lot of this season is how much they vibe on a platonic level. Like, there's a lot of cases where Felicity's getting a little jealous, and Oliver's like, don't worry, I know you're my girl.
I was just used to being your girl. I mean, not your girl. Girl.
You will always be my girl, Felicity.
And I don't know, a lot of it's just really sweet. I think the Felicity actress works well with Stephen Amell. I know her first name's Emily. I know it gets a little wonky later on, like with her whole fixation of I can't believe you lied there, which I personally didn't watch those seasons, and this is BS writing the show's always had, so I don't know what y'all smoking. And I hear people be like, I can't believe a show caved to fans, which is like, you know, making a show's more complicated than that. Like, sure, fans could sway, but a lot of it's actors' chemistry and how writers go. I don't blame them for doing this. Anyway, my thoughts could change, but in the context of season 2, I mostly like it. Anyway, that's a lot of my Green Arrow thoughts, in general and in relation to the Died Batman thing. I'll be honest, I've been making some Green Arrow animations, ideas to make some full-length stuff, so a lot of this is on my mind. I figured I'd do a respectful ode to Arrow, but certainly plan to do more of my own, like adopting a more classic first appearance Batman Brave and the Bold Green Arrow look, and a lighter tone. I don't know, I'll see what I do there. Always open to some voice actors. Anyway, what are some of your opinions on Arrow? How do you feel in relation to greater Green Arrow stuff or Died Batman accusations? You like Oliver Lance or Olicity? Feel free to let me know, and cheers.